Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of QUIP, the Quantum Unity International Program. And today we are going to have a very interesting discussion on why is there suffering?
Suffering is born from want or lack. And you can't feel want or lack unless you actually think you have want or lack, honestly. And that's what breeds the suffering.
I've experienced a ton of it myself. But what I've come to realize, and even as recently as today, so it's like a work in progress of learning, but that suffering is really perspective bound. It's very much how I choose to view my experiences. And what I've really learned is that when I can approach any experience, no matter whether it would be, whether it would be one that somebody would say that's a real terrible experience and you're going to suffer through it, or you're going to suffer as a result of it. If I can appreciate that experience, if I can find a space to grow some appreciation, what I've learned is that my perspective on the suffering, much like you've said, that shifts. So that has taught me something. That has taught me that I can shift how I am interacting with a world that seems to be ripe with suffering.
Everyone wants to feel normal, or what we think is normal. We want to go, no, I want it all to be like this. I want to ignore it. And that's what we do in the Western society, in my opinion. If you're suffering, go have a drink. Or if you're suffering, go take a pill. Or if you're suffering, go distract yourself. Don't look at what is actually going on. Turn your back on it and start to pretend it isn't going to go on. And then you will get a backache. But
we live in a very dualistic, we live in a dualistic planet. That's what we're here to do. We're here, it's left or right, it's up or down, it's wrong or right. It's this dualistic perception that we live in, and we all have choice and free will. That's one of the biggest things on this planet, is why a lot of souls come here, because this is a learning planet. This is where we come to evolve very, very quickly in our souls. And so we have these different poles of experience, whether it be suffering, lack, all that, or whether it be love, joy, happiness on the other side. And it's almost like a pendulum, and it's actually a universal law where the pendulum goes very, very far on this side, is going to go exactly the same way very far on the other side as well. One of the things I like to think of is if we can stay right in the middle and in neutrality, which holds the hand of satisfaction, if we can hold there in times of chaos, then the pendulum doesn't have very much room to swing back and forth.
Yeah, and observe the pendulum rather than be affected by the pendulum.
Because if we can remain in that point of neutrality, and as difficult as that is when we're observing the suffering of others, because those of us that are sensitive, those of us that are in these fields are so aware, and it's so disruptive, isn't it, to our systems? Not to mention the people that are suffering, it's this whole thing, it feeds back. But what if we can find ourselves observing from a place of neutrality? Then is it possible that we can actually energetically, if everything we do, like we drop a stone in the water here, it ripples, right? Water everywhere. What if we can stay neutral on our observation of the worst strife and struggling in the planet? And is it possible that we are somehow affecting or influencing that in a positive way?
That's
ripple, right? That ripple.
That's what they were saying in my head. They were saying if you look at it from a place of empathy towards the suffering, because that's where you want to go. You want to think, oh, I want to feel sorry for you because, oh my gosh, I would feel for you. What if you looked at it and said, oh, what a great opportunity for you. I hope this turns out as positive as it possibly can. Sorry you had to suffer, but look what we're learning from your suffering. Because you can really, if you don't ruminate within your suffering, you can actually learn from it and move forward. Yeah, it's how we look at it. How hard is that, though, to watch the news and see what happens to especially women and children and say, oh, I hope they learn from this and get stronger rather than I want to kill those people who did that to her. That's immediately where my brain goes. I want to make the other person suffer who made the suffering happen.
Absolutely.
I get that immediate thing. And then that actually, then I'll stub my toe.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's interesting that to look at suffering from the perspective of, if we sort of go bigger into it, being willing to step in a place of disconnection from our true selves, the part of us that's non-physically focused, to when we step into the place where we want the person who caused the suffering to themselves suffer, well, we're suddenly disconnected, aren't we? Immediately we're disconnected. And what are we disconnected from? Our authentic selves that are completely based in joy and love and higher vibration frequencies. So now we see the suffering, we get the negative feelings, we immediately disconnect from our higher selves. And then where does that leave us? Powerlessness to do anything to correct the suffering.
No, we are more suffering.
Or just more. And then it goes, and then it goes, and it goes. So what's the solution? How is part of the solution right here in this physical embodiment? We each our own sovereignty. What if we could choose how we are approaching the suffering? I'm not saying that's easy. We all agree it's very challenging, but why not put ourselves up for the challenge and to try to honor and embrace the suffering and listen to the language maybe it's speaking to us? What is it saying to us? Give it a voice. And we might be able to find, if we can lessen our own perceptions or adjust our perceptions of what our suffering is. What does it mean to suffer? Or does suffering mean growth and expansion and possibility and reuniting with our amazing self? Well, then, like you said, Bobbi, then it's maybe something that's got a bit of a positive twist on it.
Yeah. And when you said, well, what should we do with that? The voices in my head said, accept that suffering is part of life.